when I sit down.
Hi, I'm Ness, and today I will be presenting my research project for the year. For the year, I have been researching whether the value of attending college varies from state to state in the United States, and how this might affect whether someone wants to attend college. So, one of the biggest problems in the labor market and the economy in general is income inequality. Income inequality has been on a drastic upwards trend since the 1980s, and it's only continuing to increase. This is because of many different factors, including changes in skill demand, where more companies are requiring college degrees and skilled individuals to do their work, as well as technological upgrades such as AI and new computer systems, as well as shifting global economies. This issue is very large because it can impact exactly how someone lives their life in almost every aspect. The college wage premium is also another factor of the labor market, and this has also been on an upwards trend alongside income inequality and has been rising sharply since the 1980s, although it has somewhat flattened out in recent years. And this trend has occurred with a rise in college attendance as well. There's been background research into the college wage premium and exactly what affects it. By Valletta in 2016, he researched whether or not the trend was flattening and whether or not it was going to go up or down. Currently, he concluded that the trend is stagnating, but may actually decrease in future years. The effects of gender and different levels of college education were also studied in how they affect the college wage premium, as well as the variation between countries and how the college wage premium differs between those countries. So, after reviewing this research, I came to the question as to whether or not region affected the college wage premium and exactly how the college wage premium ties into the income inequality issue. Since the college wage premium is basically the amount of income that a college graduate would receive over a high school graduate, this can have a large impact on income inequality, because if these college graduates are making over $20,000 a year more than high school graduates, that could have a large impact on the economy. This would also show whether or not in different regions it's worth attending college for someone. As you can see by this graph, the income inequality percentages from the top 1% versus the bottom 99% vary very widely throughout the United States. Where income inequality is most prevalent is New York, with over a 45.4 times proportion from the top 1% to the bottom 99%. And California, Nevada, and Texas are also bad, as well as Wyoming. This graph shows the difference in college attendance throughout the United States. This exactly shows the percentage of residents who have bachelor degrees and are over 25 years old. And as you can see, in these darker areas is where bachelor degrees are more prevalent, specifically in New York and the New England area, and then somewhat down in Texas. But in this Rust Belt region, there is much lower prevalence of education. So, for my research, I decided to use a secondary correlational methodology. I was mainly trying to look at how the college wage premium varied between state. So I was trying to find a correlation between location and the college wage premium, and I was also looking if there was a correlation between college wage premium and the rise of income inequality. So I decided to look at census data, specifically the current population survey as provided by the National Bureau of Economic Research. And I took these data sets and specifically looked into 6 states. And for each state, I collected roughly 1,000 individuals for each state and used this criteria. I looked for people who were between the age 25 and 64, working age, and were at least high school graduates, and were full-time workers with a minimum income of $1 hourly and less than 100 hourly, so that the top and bottom were coded so that there were no outliers affecting my data spread. As I mentioned, the database I used was primarily the current population survey, but I also referred to the Economic Policies Institute Income Inequality Report by region, and this helped me with finding exactly how prevalent income inequality was in each state that I researched. And there was a very widespread of income inequality in my research. As I mentioned, I used 6 states. I used 3 states that had somewhat medium income inequality, and then the 3 other states were either very high or low, so that using this spread, I could see exactly if there was a correlation. So I used the software Stata in order to sort these data sets and calculate my college wage premiums. And I used the software in order to divide the groups of individuals into 2 groups. One group would be the college graduates, or the college attendees, and one group would be high school graduates, so that I could look at each group and see exactly what they were making. And I calculated the average income for each group and then compared the 2, finding the differential. And this difference would be the college wage premium. And I basically found the college wage premium for a year-to-year basis, so I used yearly income. So these were the income inequality proportions reported by the Economic Policy Institute. As you can see, in Florida and New York, income inequality is very high, but in comparison, these other 4 states, especially West Virginia, income inequality is not as prevalent or not as significant. So after I calculated my college wage premiums, these were the trends that I found. I selected 4 different years to find a trend over time, and significantly, it was New York, this brown line, that extended very, very high in the very high in value, in that income inequality correlated with the college wage premium. These college wage premiums show exactly how much someone would make for attending college. So I concluded from my research that correlation somewhat does exist between region and the college wage premium, and that the wage premium also correlates to income inequality somewhat. However, in my research, I did have a lack of control because there are many factors in the labor market that can affect both income inequality and the college wage premium. And I also had a somewhat small sampling because, as I said, I only used roughly 1,000 individuals per state per year. There's obviously many individuals in each state, so a much larger sample would be better for calculating this. There still are some implications to my research, however. It offers insight into exactly how college affects income inequality and how low-income regions can be improved. By attending college, possibly, these low-income regions can acquire more money in order to fix their income inequality issues. And it also offers information to people who are stuck on the fence as to whether or not they should attend college or not.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
After you chose your project goal, which information guided your choice of a research method?
Well, as soon as I realized that income inequality was such a large issue in the United States, and that that I am attending college in the near future, it made me focus more on these two issues, and I wanted to find a correlation between the two issues. So once I found that college wage premium really does have such a significant role, that's what made me focus on this research.
What was the fundamental argument or idea of your research, and how does this argument or idea relate to the primary purpose of your research?
The fundamental argument of my research was that the college wage premium has a role in income inequality, and this shaped the purpose of my research because I basically wanted to find whether or not there was correlation between the two in order to prove that argument. Because while some researchers have claimed that the two have correlation, I wanted to verify this and possibly find new data.
Think about the initial curiosity that led to your inquiry. What other areas of inquiry might that same curiosity lead to?
So my initial inquiry was, it was mainly focused on the area of the labor market. So while I did focus on how college plays into the labor market, I may have focused on the minimum wage, since currently I am a high school student, and many high school students work minimum wage jobs. That made me interested in exactly how changing the minimum wage would affect income inequality per se, or other factors in the labor market.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.